Welcome to the Witty and Gritty podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Collier. Today is episode 303, and we are talking about 3 tips to avoid the back-to-school spiritual slump. Dun dun dun. Did you know that August is a time of year that you're more likely to skip your spiritual practices? If you stop to think about it for a second, August is pretty hectic. For some reason, it also feels super high stakes. Why? New teachers, new schedules, new classrooms, and somehow you have to wrap your brain around all of it. Before you know it, God just took a backseat in your mind. Whoopsie! This is why I'm giving you 3 tips to avoid the back-to-school spiritual slump. I was recently looking at the kids' back-to-school dates, and somehow there are 4 different back-to-school, meet the teachers, and or pep rally events. They're all on different dates, all of which lead up to the couple nights before the first day of school. Are you already feeling overwhelmed and the kids haven't even gone back to school yet? It feels like the month of August is one long Sunday night, full of anticipation and mixed feelings. Forget the frazzle this back-to-school season. The number one way to get rid of the overwhelm, mental stress, and frenetic mindset is to keep God elevated above everything else. Listen, we all know that sounds easy. Hint, because it is when we prioritize it. But sometimes we find ourselves in a position where it's hard to actually put God first. This is why these 3 tips to avoid the back-to-school spiritual slump will greatly increase your odds of sticking with spending time with Jesus. Tip number 1, go to church every single Sunday in August. Tip number 1 to avoid the back-to-school spiritual slump is to make the commitment as a family to go to church every single Sunday this August. But wait, Brooke, we're trying to squeeze in one last vacation or sports tournament. I hear you. It's us too, don't worry. Thank God for online services. Anytime we can't make it physically to church, we pull up our church's YouTube channel and live stream, or we rewatch it later. The point is, make a commitment to go to church every single Sunday this August, physically or online. Mark those calendars now, set reminders, and stick to being disciplined and show up. If your church doesn't have an online presence, you can definitely use our sermons. I will link Sea Life Church, Forney, Texas. I will link their YouTube channel, and you can watch as much as you want. If you can watch Netflix every single day, surely you can watch one sermon. You can do it. Better yet, don't let yourself click on Netflix until you've watched a sermon. Look at you and your Atomic Habits Make It Difficult chapter. I'll link Atomic Habits too. Tip number 2, take, trash, tweak method. Tip number 2 to avoid the back-to-school spiritual slump is the take, trash, tweak method. Reflect back through the summer and even back to the previous school year. Look through the lens of my read, pray, talk, tell method. Reading your Bible, praying regularly, talking in Christian community, and telling others about Jesus. With that particular spiritual growth lens, ask yourself the following questions. What worked well when it came to my spiritual walk? What did not work well when it came to my spiritual walk? What did I like in theory, but need some adjusting when it comes to my spiritual walk? This is where you either take it and continue with it, trash it because that didn't work, or tweak it because it may work better if it's done just a little differently. Here are 3 examples for me with my take, trash, and tweak. Take. I'm definitely keeping the combo of the daily audio Bible and Bible recap. I'll link those for you too. Trash. I'm letting go of studying my Bible at the kitchen table. I'll explain this in the tweak. Tweak. I'm going back to Bible study in the car because I'll be commuting more with school starting up. Tip number 3, play your day. Tip number 3 to avoid the back-to-school spiritual slump is to play through your day. You're going to think through your take, trash, and tweak and roll the film just like you would play out your day. See how it's actually going to shake out. Sometimes we've got a great idea, but then when we think through it by playing our day, we can find holes in our logic. When we find these holes, take it back up to tweaking and hit replay with the changes. This can look like you've decided you're going to listen to the DAB, that's Daily Audio Bible, when you're taking the kids to school. So you begin to play your day, and you realize that while you have your kids in the car, you'd rather be maximizing the car conversations with them. So let's take that back to tweaking. While I'm driving the kids to school, I can ask them spiritually directed questions. We can sing worship songs or practice memory verses. This is an excellent use of your time. So now we need to find time to read our Bible. Can you listen after you drop them off? Yes? Okay, let's replay the day and see how that works. Repeat and trial and error. Flexibility is key here. What works one day may not on another. What if you got a sick kid? What if you have an appointment? You just got to be flexible. Use the take trash and tweak method as much as you need to play your day. All right, that was short, sweet, and kind of spicy, just like me. Look at that. That wraps up episode 303, 3 tips to avoid the back-to-school spiritual slump. Let's walk through these 3 tips one more time. Tip number 1, go to church every single Sunday in August. Tip number 2, the take trash and tweak method. And number 3, play your day. Okay, now you got a little homework. I want you to take these tips to heart, and for the next week, try to see how that can play out through your life through August. I care about you, and I know August is going to be crazy. I've seen it time and time again. Just look at your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed. You will see it too once you start to notice. Don't be the statistic that drops out of your plan. Make sure you stick with it. So go to church, take trash tweak method, play your day, and remember, be flexible through all of this. Tune in next week for the Summer Thrive Guide mini-series final episode. What? We're already through the summer. I'm praying for you and your families as you go through this upcoming school year. I can't wait to hear about how this episode has worked for you. Trust me, you will thank yourself for this forethought when you've got God in the forefront of your mind. See what I did there? So today was part 1, next week's part 2. Come back and make sure you do that homework so you have something to build upon next week. See you next time.